back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys! So I am here today to do a super exciting announcement video and also to give you some recommendations. So, as you may or may not know if you've been following my SPFBO updates, I have been reading 30 books this year, which are all self-published fantasy books. They were all submitted as part of the Self-Published Fantasy Blog-Off competition, which is run by Mark Lawrence, but involves 10 different blogs who all get together and review about 300 books in total, 30 each, and then they choose finalists, and everyone reads the finalists, and then the winner is chosen. So it's a really fun competition. It goes on for about half a year, so it's quite a long time. And I've just finished reading my batch of 30, so I'm now at the stage where I get to choose my finalist, put them forward for all the other blogs and bloggers to read, and then see how it does. I don't know how it will do, but I'm hopeful because I have one that I really loved above all the others, and then I have quite a few honourable mentions, ones that I'd recommend you guys check out. So luckily for me, I ended up with 4 honourable mention books and also a 5th book, which is my finalist. So I'm going to quickly whiz through these books and tell you a little bit about them, but I will also link the videos below where I actually review the book in detail, so if you're interested you can go and watch those and hopefully pick them up. I'll also link all the books down below where you can buy them, so that if you're interested you can go and pick them up, because I definitely really highly recommend these ones. They are my favourites of this year's batch for me, so highly recommend all of them. The first one I want to recommend to you guys is one with a dragon on the cover, and that is Oathbreaker. This is a book that I thought I would like because of the dragon on the front, but I ended up really enjoying because it's just a fun read. It follows a brother and sister and also an ex-soldier as they all get mixed up together and have to go on the run from the Tsar, who is this all-powerful, magic-hating entity who rules over the land. They have a great time, and it's definitely got some really sweet moments between the brother and sister, and also just a great dynamic group. I feel like there's a lot of books I read where there wasn't a really strong dynamic between the characters, and this one has that. I think it's really fun. So I highly recommend this one, and I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5, which is 8 out of 10 for SPFBO. Definitely worth picking it up. The next one I really enjoyed is Soulrender, and this one is one I read quite a while ago now, and it still left an impression on me of just a good fun fantasy story. The author has tried to do something slightly different with the magic system, but it has familiar hints to it as well, so it kind of echoes the similar kind of vein as like Mistborn, things like that, in its own way, and I really enjoyed it. The story focuses mainly in on 2 brothers, and it follows each of their different stories as they get split up due to the events of the book, and they each end up kind of on their own quest to basically take down a very corrupt king who is ruling over the land that they are part of using magic, and also a sort of resistance group. So it's a lot of fun, definitely again a fast-paced easy read, and one that I think a lot of people would enjoy, and I certainly recommend it. Again, I gave this a 4 out of 5, which is 8 out of 10. The next one I want to recommend is Spinning Silk. This one is an Eastern-inspired story with kind of Asian themes, and it focuses on a young girl called Furi who has the ability to spin silk in crazy ways. She has a power and affinity with it. There are reasons for this that you find out later in the book, and it's definitely a story that I found really fun and fascinating because of the cultural influences and the blend of old fairy tales and fairy tales particularly from Asian countries, so folklore and mythology. That's all interwoven, and there's also just some great character moments again. This one also got 8 out of 10, so very good all round so far. Let's move on up to the next tier. This is my second place one now, the second place book for this year. So it was tricky because I really enjoyed this one and another book, but the other one just slightly picked this one to the post. Only just though, because this was very close to being my finalist, and this is The Banished Craft. I absolutely was not expecting what I got from this book. The cover to me is like a children's story. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't give the impression of what this story is going to be. I flipping loved it. It's about a young woman who is fighting back against a really corrupt system. It's also got dragons and an entire dragon society. It's got 2 parallel worlds that don't know the other world exists until they meet up in the very end. and there's just so much chaos. The world is set up in a really good way. It's very structured, very kind of believable, and it feels like the author knows their world so well. I really enjoyed this read, and I certainly think that this one could easily have been a finalist for me, but it was only because the other one was there that this isn't. So I thoroughly recommend this one, and I just think more people need to buy this and read it because it is so good. It might even make one of my top lists of the year thing, because I just really enjoyed it, and it was so different to a lot of the things I'd read that I had to give it credit where credit is due. So that was my second place. It was so close to being my finalist, and I thoroughly recommend that you go and check it out. I will put the link below where you can buy it, so definitely do that. And this one I gave a 4.25, which is 8.5 out of 10, so really getting up there with my scores. I'm quite a critical scorer, I suppose, but yeah, this one deserved it. And then the final book, which is my finalist, is The Anointed, and this book is one I loved. I just enjoyed it so much. I love the world, I love the characters. It focuses on mainly one family and their different characters, but also we see a whole society that is hidden in the woods under a secret barrier. The world itself does not have floating. Floating is just not a concept, except in this secret little bubble where these people live, and they have boats and trees. There are dragons which are raised by the family, and the dragons are super cool, and the family is really interesting. There's proxies, so people can relive lives if they kill someone else and take their lives. It's crazy. There's so many things. There's some good sort of sci-fi elements and also fantasy elements. It blends the two really nicely. The characters are great, the world is great, the plot is great. I want to read so much more by this author. The author is clearly established and has written in the world, so he knows what he's doing. He's very confident with it. It just works. It really works, and I felt like it was such a fun read all round that I could not give anything else my finalist spot. This was definitely it this year for me. I thoroughly recommend picking this one up. And I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is a 9 out of 10 for SPFBO. So it's really high rating. I loved it. I thoroughly recommend it, and I hope that the other bloggers will enjoy it, even if they don't love it quite as much, and that it gets a decent score in the end. So we'll see what everyone else thinks, but that is my finalist for 2018. Very excited, cannot wait to see who everyone else chooses. There's already quite a few that have been chosen, so I'll link down below where you can see what the other finalists from the other blogs are, and maybe you can follow along and read some of them with us. I would love for you guys to pick up all of these books, but particularly the last two are my favourites. Say congrats to the finalists and all the others I've mentioned, because they were definitely the cream of the crop, which is fabulous. So that is everything from me for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and thanks to the authors for letting me read your books. I know it can be really harsh when I am mean, but hopefully these guys are really happy with the feedback, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.